over the last 7 weeks, and I'm very glad that I've learned this, and I know even bigger testimonials will be on the way, because yes, there's a lot to act on. In particular, I do recall about one of the classes speaking about speaking up, bringing ideas, which is something I had in mind, but then this again got me to actually act, and I'm very happy to have one day seen here that the company I work for was here also training SMEs on how to use digital marketing to grow. And I thought, yes, this is how greatness begins, because then this is captivating, or rather activating the social capital and the networks, and people have learned, people have grown. So I'm very glad that I took this class, and I definitely think about taking another one, because it's been great all the way. So for anyone watching and you're wondering why you should, I would encourage that you sign up, simply because this is a very competitive world that we're in right now, and it's all about being the product that can be outstanding, right? And that's personal development, that's investing in yourself, and the money you can actually pay in bits, which is really amazing. It works with your budget, right? And at the end of the day, I think the investment is much more. You'd probably spend all that amount in eat-outs and pedicures and manicures, so why not invest in yourself? Sign up, be a great product.
Hello, my name is Karangari Mangai, also known as Miss Maureen. I'm a musician, and I did Centonomy Career Hub. I really enjoyed myself. I really liked the fact that it was one day out of the week for 6 weeks, because I needed that energy boost in my life right now, like to be career minded and to be like motivated and everything, because I kind of felt stuck, and that's why most people take this class. Since I started this class, I have gotten 2 part-time job offers while I manage my business, my own music business. So yeah, it has really helped me actually. I really needed to stay focused and motivated, and being around all these people who have the same energy going and asking questions and being in direct contact with the really inspirational teachers really helped me. So I would advise anybody who's going to do this class to just do this, because it's for you. And if you're already considering it, you're probably already going to make boss moves. You're probably that kind of person already.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'm just about to turn on my video. Just a second, the video should be up by now. I can see we are already in the room. We full. This is so exciting. This is so exciting. I hope you can all see me. I hope you can hear me as well. My name is Maureen Radoli. I'm the head of personal finance at Centonomy. And it's such a very, very blessed morning for me, a very exciting morning for me as well. If you can hear me, can you let me know in the chat box? Can you let me know in the chat box if you can hear me? Jumbo, I'd want to, okay, thank you. I can see a thumbs up. All right, great. Asante sana, thank you for the responses. Dominic, Annie, B, thank you so much for responding. I truly, truly appreciate that. I'm viewing myself on the screen and I'm kind of sluggish. I hope that's not how my voice sounds. Good morning to you, Nicole, Cleophas, Oma. I'm not able to mention each and every one of you because you guys are just amazing. A great morning indeed it is. Welcome to the Career Hub event. This event is about people who are in a space in their career and they're like, you know what? I need to move on to the next. Or number two, I think I've been stuck here for a long time. Number three, you're thinking, okay, how do I stand out? And how does my boss realize that, you know what, I'm adding value? So this program, this webinar has been set out for you. And karibu sana to Diversifying Your Career Portfolio webinar. I know most of us are in a space where we have a lot of skills. We have invested a lot in ourselves. And we're asking ourselves now, how do we pull these resources together, these skills together, to ensure that we stand out and we're adding value? And again, and you know, your career is like a business. It pays you, you know, it's like it's actually an exchange because you're exchanging value. You're getting money for the services and the value that you're offering. So Centonomy Career Hub, or rather Centonomy, our mission is to ensure that purposeful people are creating value and they're creating wealth in whatever space they are in. So karibu sana. This morning we have an amazing array of speakers who are going to be sharing their experiences with us, just talking to us and just letting us understand how some of them moved from one level to another. And I know there are people who, of course, must have started they took up a very different career path while in school, but now when they got out in the job market, they're doing something totally different. I'm one of them here. I did HR, but I'm very passionate about marketing and sales. But you know what? My HR experience and skills, I've not shelved them. There's a way I'm using them to ensure that I'm adding value to my employer and I'm standing out. So Career Hub is about branding yourself, standing out. When somebody walks in the room, they're like, oh my God, they're here. When you give out a statement, when you're contributing to a meeting, people will be like, okay, that was very valuable. And sometimes it's about putting yourself out there, having the confidence and making sure you're harnessing every area of your strength and standing out. We can't say that we are all, we have strengths or we are created or made up of positive, or a lot of strength. Every area of every area that defines who we are is about strength. Of course, you have weaknesses, but how do you make sure that you're leveraging on your strength to stand out? How do you make sure that you're leveraging on all the networks that you have created in your life, the people that you have interacted with, the people that you have added value to? How do you make sure that you're doing all this, that you're using the people or the networks that you have to progress, to grow and to progress in your career? How do you make use of your leadership skills? How do you make use of your effective communication skills? And how do you even build on that? How do you even improve on that to ensure that you are that person that an employer is looking for? I'm excited because Career Hub, the Centonomy Career Hub program, is the one that is sponsoring this amazing event. And I can see we are quite a number of us. And just quickly, if you can let me know where you are tuned in from, that would be a very nice way of even allowing our speakers to speak to you from wherever you are. So if you could quickly write in the chat box and tell us where you're tuned in from. I am tuned in from Nairobi, somewhere called Embakasi. I can see Anita is in Nanyuki. Good, thank you so much. There's another one from, there's New Zealand, there's Rongai. I saw somebody from Nairobi as well. There's somebody from Utawala. You're my neighbor. Thank you. There's Umoja. All right. There's Uganda, Kampala. There is Thika. We have people from Uganda. Hey, wherever they know, my brothers and sisters from Kampala, Mandera County, Naivasha, Dar es Salaam, Uganda. Oh my goodness. Mayakos, we are tuned in. Chokimau, do you guys are just neighboring Machakos. So how are you? And Nova, yes. Langata, Rongai, Ruaka. Thank you so much for tuning in. I see guys from Central. There is Embakasi again, Kahawa Sukari. Yes, Nairobi. We are quite a diverse crowd. There's somebody from Dubai. I think I should plan to come to Dubai. I'll definitely save this chat and look for you. We are tuned in from Eldoret. Oh my goodness, the area where we produce athletes. I'm so passionate about athletes because these guys plan themselves. And when you're talking about careers, it's about planning. These guys plan for about 4 to 5 years before an event happens, before a sports event happens. And I'm glad there's somebody in this room who was very passionate and who once worked in an area where sportsmen were featured. And the other day I watched a picture that he did with one of the amazing athletes in the African continent, somewhere in Ethiopia. And I love the story that this guy had. In fact, if you're talking about diversifying your career portfolio, this is one person who did that. He was an athlete for a couple of years. Right now, as we speak, he's already in the business world. And that's a matter of just understanding where you are and making use of what you have. Of course, he had gathered enough resources to be able to, catapult him to the next level of entrepreneurship. So that is really, really amazing. Your video is off. Oh yes, you realize that all your videos are off just to ensure that we are concentrating on the speakers this morning. And thank you so much for everybody who's just told us where they are. This is really, really exciting. Make sure you have shared with your friends. Tell them that we are starting the event. We're just about to invite our very first speaker. This is a gentleman that is known to most of us. He appears in our newsrooms. And the very first time I saw him, he was an actor. I'm just keen to understand. I'm just so keen to understand how that happened. And it was this particular program was about athletes, and they used to play football. And he was one of the key actors. And today we see him in our newsrooms. He appears a lot in our newsrooms, and he's brought us a lot of very amazing and inspiring features. Apart from that, he's also a lead news anchor in one of the biggest media houses in Kenya, and we are so privileged to have him speak to us and share his experience this morning with us. And I don't know whether he's in the room. I'll need to see that if he is in the room. So he's a news anchor. Apart from being a news anchor, do you know he creates time to moderate? So you guys have giftings and assets and skills that you are not probably using. So how do you make sure you are capitalizing or you're making use of the skills that you have just to ensure that you're earning an extra source of income? Yes. So apart from being a moderator and a news anchor, he's a senior features reporter. And his name is Waihiga Mwaura. We thank God because he graces our screens most of the time. So we watch him on news. And the other day, I must say, Waihiga Mwaura, if you're in the room, you did an amazing job with the interview with he's called, is it Gabriel Haile Selassie, or what is his name? Probably you can tell us about that. My video is off. Oh my goodness. Thank you. My video is off. Waihiga Mwaura, if you're in the room, karibu sana.
Thank you very much. Yes, Maureen, thank you very much. Good to see you. And yes, your video is off. Maureen, can you hear me?
Oh my God, I was kicked out of the room. I am so sorry about that. Let me just, something just happened. I think my internet just decided to behave. Mr. Waihiga is in the room. Good to see you. I love your background, sir. I love your background. I was talking about the feature that you did with the athlete from Ethiopia. That was such an amazing. Haile, thank you so much. That was an amazing feature that you did over there, and the inspiration that I gathered from there is, you know, you can actually transit from one career and to the next. And that was very interesting. And I've seen you as an actor. I saw you as an actor in your early years. I saw you as an actor. Then today you graced our screens as a, you know, as a news anchor, as a moderator also as well. And the features that you do are quite inspiring and good to have you this morning. We just love to hear your story and how diversifying your career portfolio would work for some of us in the room and how that has worked for you. Karibu sana, Mr. Waihiga.
Thank you very much, Maureen. I'm guessing that's my signal to begin. Great. Good morning to everyone. I guess it's morning wherever you are, and if it's afternoon or evening elsewhere, thanks so much for joining us. I am very honored to be talking to over 250 people virtually and to the organizers of this meeting. Asante sana for thinking of me, and I'm very glad to be here. As was mentioned, my name is Waihiga Mwaura. I am a news anchor and the special projects editor at Citizen TV. But there are a couple of things I also do away from my workplace that is part of my diversification. I'm going to try and say what I want to say in very little time so that I allow for questions, because I think that's usually the best part of any program. I'm sure you don't hear my voice for far too long. I think in terms of diversification, for me, that has been a story of my life. And I wish I could tell you that it was all intentional, but to be honest, it was not. It was not that I, in a sense, had a game plan from the very beginning. I just knew I was looking for personal purpose. I knew I was looking for a purpose that came with joy in the midst of my duties and satisfaction at the end of the day. And I guess my diversification journey was driven by the fact that I was a bit confused about what I wanted to do with my life. And that especially hit me, I remember, on my 25th birthday. So before that, I had gone to university. I'm grateful I had the opportunity to do so. And I'd studied a degree in computer science. But halfway through the course, I knew that is not what I wanted to do with my life. I remember going for an internship, and it was a pretty good internship. I'll be honest with you. My internship was in a nice office. I was paid an internship allowance, which is rare. And I think because it was an international NGO, I was paid in dollars, a few of them. But I actually had a bit of money in my pocket as an intern. So my internship experience was good, but it was an eye-opener that once you go back to school for your remaining 1 year, after that, you don't want to do this with your life. And so when I finished university, of course, I was not keen to pursue my career, but I also did not know what I wanted to do. And there's nothing worse than that. You know you don't want to do what you're doing right now, but you don't know where you want to go. So you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And that's literally where I was. And it dawned on me on my 25th birthday. By then, I had already worked in 2 places. I'd worked at a call center straight after campus. I applied for a job there, and they took me up as a call center agent, picking calls were from Americans or people in India, etc. And I did that for about a year. It was a job I enjoyed because by then I had started to discover that I loved communicating with people. There was something about it that brought me joy, and people on the other end would say that I was a good communicator. So I did that for about a year, but the pay wasn't good. It would pay us in installments. It would delay all the time. And so after a year, I left and I started working in a bank. Now, the bank was the real sort of Damascus moment for me because it was my first exposure with real corporate life. And I did all sorts of duties. I was a customer service agent. I was a cashier and that sort of thing. But I knew as I was working there that this is not where I wanted to be. And I would remember customers telling me, you're such a well-spoken young man. I think you can do more with your life than being here, paying people money. Because, being a bank employee is more about your efficiency of handling duties rather than, the role that I was in did not allow me to interact with customers the way I would have liked to. And a lot of customers could tell that I could do more in regards to that. So it was then that I celebrated my 25th birthday. And it was then that I told myself, even if I will have to quit my job, I am ready to go on a journey to find what I'm supposed to do with my life. Maureen, I think you're sharing your screen. I don't know if that's intentional, and it's a blank screen. Just be aware of that. All right, and so I then quit the bank, not sure where I was going, and this was a very scary moment because I actually stayed out of employment, quote unquote, and out of having something productive to do for about a year as I pursued what I believed was what I enjoyed. And how I came to that conclusion was that I used to, yeah, Lawrence, do you mind muting your mic? Thank you. I would be a moderator in church. And I remember when I started doing it, there's a pastor who'd come to tell me, you have such a good presence on the platform, on the pulpit. Why don't you think of getting into media? And for a long time, I ignored him. And this time I'm working in the bank. But one day, and I woke up and I thought to myself, while I'm still young, while I still have energy, and while I still have a home before I have to find my own place, can I try and follow this path? And I'm really trying to compress this story for you guys in the interest of time. But I leave the bank and I decide this pastor has been pestering me for so long. Let me give his suggestion a try. And sometimes career diversification might come from you being told by other people what they see about you that you yourself might not see. And this man actually saw that I had the potential to be of influence and to make a difference in the world of media. And so here's a gentleman who studied a bachelor's in computer science, who diversified even before his first job into other fields, trying to look for his purpose. And so diversification can come in many different ways. And I'll briefly break that down for you. But in my journey to get to where I am in the media, I have done many things. I have been an actor, as Maureen told you guys about. I did that for a couple of months. I thought I was the next Will Smith, but that clearly was a pipe dream. But with every experience in your diversification journey, you learn. You learn what you like, you learn what you don't like. And with the complexity of this world, many of you might be forced to diversify one way or the other. And I'll talk to you guys about that shortly. I've been an actor. I've been a sports journalist. I've been a moderator. I've worked in a bank. I've worked in a call center. I've actually tried to run a business for about a year as well. Man, that was a journey and a half. Business is full-time. You know, they say that you start a business and you have a lot of free time, man. For the 1 year that we ran the business with my brother, that was a most hectic experience where clients were calling you 24/7. We were running a business that required 24/7 customer service, and that was crazy as well. But I'm grateful that what the diversification journey has done for me is that it's made me never afraid to try new things. And this is actually where I want to begin. I just want to tell you a little bit about diversification, and in the next 5 minutes or so, open it up to questions. The definition of diversification is a way to manage and minimize risks, whether it's in your investments, whether it's in your career. So the way you diversify in your investments, and that's why when you go to the NSE, a broker will tell you, buy the Safaricom shares, buy KCB shares, buy ABSA shares, buy Kengen shares, is so that you diversify the risk. And someone would ask, how come we never think about that with our careers? So for your money, you put it in different places to ensure that if one stream collapses, you have a backup. But for our careers, and this is something I think we were taught by our parents, because our parents believed in one line. I don't know how many of you have a mother, a father, an uncle, an auntie, a relative who was a employee at Ministry of XYZ for 40 years. You know, that was what they were taught. That was stability. But the world we live in is very different. So in managing your career, you know, it is advised that you have different exposures to several industries and different functions, so that in case something negative happens in your career, you're not caught out with a single specialization. And the thing about diversifying your career is the skills that it teaches you, because you can lose your job today. You can even lose access to a country where you're working. But if you've picked up a unique skill set, it will allow you to function wherever you are. I remember Bitange Demo, and he'd be great for this. This was a man who was an assistant minister for ICT in the Kibaki government, saying that I am a qualified university professor. Even if you kick me out of Kenya, I will be soon lecturing in New Zealand or in USA or that sort of thing, plus doing consultancies, plus being a public speaker. He has honed that skill. And so for him, being an assistant minister and then losing his job was not the end of his life. And I think anyone on this call who wants to be a politician, you better learn to career diversify, because politics has a 5 to 10 year shelf life. And if you're not ready to pick up your other skills, if you're ever kicked out of the political arena, then you are going to have a big problem. Now, when I was thinking about this topic yesterday, I thought of 3 different places in which we in Kenya are forced to diversify in one way or the other. One, very quickly, and if anyone's taking notes, you can take these notes. Some of us will be forced to diversify before our first job. And the truth of the matter is, it is hard to get employment right now. So imagine you're a business major, you're a computer science major, you're, whatever it is that you're studying, and you get to the workplace and you can't find a job in that field. What do? Do you get frustrated? Do you give up? And that's why I challenge university students whenever I speak to them to begin to analyze what their other skill sets are while they are in university, and to try and do something with them, because that could provide them with the lifeline as they wait for their first sort of job. Or if they never get that job, it could create them it could sort of boost them with a whole new business. And so if you're in campus doing business something, but you're an amazing writer, you need to start sending in your articles to various publications. You need to start blogging. You can even think of writing a small book that you sell. I know people who've survived a tough season with books that they wrote, and they sell them here and there, 100, 200, 300 shillings, and you can actually make a small income from that. If you're in college doing IT, but you're a great speaker, there's so much that you can do with that. And places like church provide a great platform for people to hone their skills, and who knows where it could take you. Me, that's where I started, and from there I've been able to speak in big platforms, both locally and internationally. as a result of a place like that where I was able to hone my skill. And so for me, there's a group here that will need to learn to diversify while in college. And I tell media students this all the time. As much as there have been great sort of reforms in terms of liberalization of the media in this country, we still have very few media houses that can employ you and have the sustainability to last 5-10 years. You know, many media houses will come up today and within 3 years they shut down. And I tell media students, you need to start planning what it would take to run your own media establishment whilst you're still in college. You need to invest in skills like data journalism, because with that, it's easier for you to open up a small fact-checking company and apply for grants. And a lot of people are running media businesses off grants. You need to open a blog and build its following, because I know people who've quit mainstream media houses to run their blogs. One example is a colleague of mine called Makotani. He recently left one of the big media houses. He's running his own blog called swalanyeti.co.ke. And, you know, when I heard that, I was like, look at this man. You know, he's left what is considered stability to go into this field, but he's built it. And I sometimes ask myself, I wish I would have known this is what I was going to be doing when I was in campus. I would have opened a blog. I would have opened a Twitter page before guys knew what Twitter was. I would have diversified, and it would have made my bargaining position stronger when and if I do intend to join a media house. Let me move on very quickly. A second group will need to learn how to diversify in their career for promotion. I'll be honest, in many companies, they won't promote you automatically. You need to show them why they need to promote you. And part of that is when you become such an asset to a company that the threat of you leaving is so scary that they must find ways to keep you. And so it's amazing when you have an employee who has this that is on the contract. And I'm not saying that you should be misused also, you know, where you're the one doing 15 jobs at the office and none of them are even on your contract. But you're the guy who does this, you're the guy who does that. And one of the interesting things I discovered when I joined Citizen was I used to think that news anchors just read the news, you know. You just see them for that 1 hour that they're doing their bulletin and they go. But I remember when I joined Citizen, I noticed some of the news anchors would do other things as well. A few of them were very good reporters. And I would wonder, why do you bother reporting it? It seems so hard, and yet you have the ability to go on our screens and just deliver the news. But once I got in, I totally understood. They were diversifying. They were increasing their value within that company, making themselves even more relevant than ever before. I remember one who is now a very high-ranking government official who was a news anchor and a news director. So if a director was sick that day, it was very easy for her to ask her colleague to read the news and she would go and direct. So even if you're employed and you have no plan to leave and you're in a stable environment, please diversify within your field. It could save your career when retrenchment is happening, when there's downsizing, but also it will help you ease boredom so that you're not doing the same task over and over again. And number 3, very quickly, diversifying also allows you to think of what's next. When you are burnt out, when you are tired, what's the next thing that you are going to do? And it's very important. I'll tell you a personal example. When I was a sports journalist, and I did sports for about 7 years, and I know many of you may know me from that, you know, particular part of my career, I had a deep interest in digital media and digital trends. I would attend seminars. I was very active on social media at a time when people thought social media was for kids. And I remember arguing with some of my colleagues who would say, "Iki tu ya Twitter na kutrend, you know, ni ya watoto ama teenagers," and that sort of thing. But as I built that skill, people at the office began to recognize that this was a guy who was keen in that field, even if it wasn't on my contract and it wasn't something I did on a day-to-day basis. And I remember that when they were introducing a new show about digital trends, they actually considered me for it. And when I did that show, and I did it for only a few months, it actually allowed me to segue or to pivot away from what I was doing in sports and slowly towards general news, which is now what I am doing today. So my diversification, whether intentional or unintentional, actually unlocked a new season for me. And so whereas I had a very fulfilling time on the sports desk, the truth of the matter is, as human beings, we are called upon to grow from strength, from one opportunity to the other. When you stay, you stagnate and you plateau. but sometimes it calls for you to diversify for that next season to be unlocked. And that was powerful. That was, something that I think about till today. What happens if I had not taken a keen interest in this other field? Would I be where I am today? Would I have been unable to make this move into this other place? How do I wrap this up for you? Because I know our time is up. One of the lessons that I've learned about diversifying is about your career portfolio, okay? So they say that diversifying, the way you diversify your finances, the way you should diversify your career, right? But there are 4 ingredients that offer a well-balanced opportunity for you to earn, learn, and help others as you diversify. So let me give you these tips very quickly, and then we'll open it up to questions. I found online a personal guide as to how you can diversify. And the first step begins with, what is your personal purpose? And this is the chance I want you to take to really think. All 3, my goodness, there are 300 of you. Okay, wow. Well done, Centonomy. And I think for me, to the 300 of you, I want to challenge you just to listen to me keenly for the next minute or so, then I'll open it up to questions. What is your personal purpose? Your personal investment purpose is what guides the decisions you make, okay? So if you have goals in your investments, that is what will guide the decisions you make today, okay? So for your personal purpose, what are your goals in your personal purpose that will guide you to the decisions that you make today? And you do that by answering a series of questions. I'll give you a few, and you can come up with others on your own. And this really made me think when I discovered this. It's not my work, but I felt it's important I share with you. If you want to know what your personal purpose is, ask yourself this question. 100 years from now, 2031, when maybe it is your great-grandchildren that will be on this earth, how would you like to be remembered? And I asked myself that question yesterday, as I was preparing for this. How would I like to be remembered? Whatever answer or answers you come up with then determines the decisions that you make today. Do you want to be remembered as an expert in your field? Do you want to be remembered as someone who changed the lives of the people around them? Do you want to be remembered as an activist online who advocated for sort of greater public good? Sit down and write that, and it will help you think about your personal purpose. The second one, which is obvious, is, what am I passionate about? What keeps you up at night? Is it a problem in society? What makes you spend a lot of time on social media? I've seen women who spend a lot of time looking at sort of hair and fashion trends. And whilst it's easy to dismiss them as being vain and that sort of thing, what if you could make money from that? What if you genuinely enjoy beauty and everything that comes with it, and interior design and good photography? Could that help you in that particular regard? And finally, what are 2 projects recently that you are very excited about that made a difference? It could be a small project, even just supporting a relative, or it could be a big project, doing something in a community. What are 2 projects that you feel have made a difference for you in the last 2 years? Think about the big picture, and then use that to hone in on your life purpose. And your life purpose is very important, because all the career decisions you make after that are based off, is it driving me towards my life purpose or away from my life purpose? 4 things that you should think about in your career and how you invest in it as I wrap this up. 1, what is your primary income investment in your career? Is it your job? Is it your business, where the majority of your financial investment or income is earned? Invest in that. But then as you diversify, you need a secondary income investment, an optional alternative income that allows you to gain additional knowledge. So for me, if my primary income or investment is my work, my secondary income or investment is public speaking in forums like this. I do a lot of this. It is moderating of events and consultancies as well, where necessary. And you build this up. Nothing happens overnight. I've been working now for, I would say, almost 14 years. I don't have this yet sorted, Yet I know people who 4 years into their career, they have built this up. So for me, I'm still a work in progress. And so don't feel that you haven't started and you can't start. So what's your secondary income investment? Not everyone is destined to run a business. Not everyone will have a side hustle of, chickens in Kitengela, or baking cakes. It could be speaking, it could be blogging. Whatever it is, it's something that you're passionate about. Number 3, what is your volunteer investment? finding one or more ways of reaching out to your community in a way that is meaningful to you. And for me, it's helpful that my secondary income investment of moderating and public speaking is also my volunteer investment. I speak at children's homes, I speak at fundraisings, and I encourage and mentor a lot of young people. And that's my volunteer investment. And I'm actually working on building something sort of formal around that as well. I mean, the plan of this year, I was really challenged to formalize that. And so that's something I'm thinking about. But the fourth thing, so I've told you what's your primary income investment, what's your secondary income investment, what's your volunteer investment, and finally, what's your lifelong learning investment? Mentorship, focused reading, and education. I am in the last stages of finishing my master's at Daystar University. It's been a long journey. That's a story for another day, but that is my investment in education. I am also taking short courses that I'm trying to balance with this other one as well, as I continue, sort of hope to improve and better myself. In terms of ideas for what you could do with your diversification, it could be a side hustle, it could be teaching, whether formal or informal, it could be public speaking, it could be writing books, it could be blogging. You know what? It could be so many things. Only you know what your interests are in. But the trick is to start somewhere. And the world that we live in, some say it's post-COVID, some say we're still in the middle of COVID. Nothing is set in stone anymore. It's no longer the days of careers that would take you 40 years. We must all ask ourselves, if my world was to change today, what skills have I taken? What experience do I have for me to be able to apply, not just for one job, but for multiple jobs? I've run a digital marketing business in the past. I've been involved in many projects, and it's a result of really wanting to diversify and sort of use all the skills and talents that you have, but at the same time learn, maybe get an income, an extra income, and prepare yourself for the kind of world that we live in. That's a bit of my story. Thanks so much for patiently listening in. I think let me throw it back to the organizers. I don't know if it's Maureen or anyone else to help with the Q&A. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you so much, Waihiga, Mwaura. As always, that is very, very insightful. Trust me, very encouraging. And I know guys in the chat box should be filling in the feedback as well. And I see the questions are coming in through. Now, because of time, I'll kindly request you just to stick behind and see what you can answer. And you can just do that in the chat box, Waihiga, if that's okay with you. Then let me see if I can just read out probably one or two just before we go to the next speaker. So we have, so there's a question here from Wanjan. She says, in what ways would you say self-awareness affected your career journey? So in what ways would you say self-awareness affected your career journey? Probably you can respond to that. And then I'll just pick out another one. Then you can respond to at least two of them. And then the rest you can respond in the chat box. Thank you, Waihiga.
Excellent. Thanks so much. So Wanja, self-awareness. I mean, self-awareness is everything. You know, when you walk into a room full of children, right? Which child will you remember the most? They're the children, and it's our characters, unfortunately. But there's a child who's quiet and shy, and they won't speak. But there's this one kid who will stand up and ask you, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" You probably won't forget that kid. That kid knows who they are, they understand who they are, and they feel confident enough to be able to stand and address an adult. It's a fact of life. When I watch Steve Harvey's, I think it's called Little Big Something, he's got these kids on. Some of them, I look and I marvel, and I'm like, how self-aware are these kids? So self-awareness is something we should all aspire for, but it is not automatic, okay? And for me, my self-awareness in journalism only came after 2012. So I waded into journalism and now really unaware about the potential I had and fearful, because for me, the field of journalism was a field of giants, big men and women who had conquered the airwaves. And I was this little guy without a first media degree. I eventually went back to school. The master's that I'm finishing is in communication. And very shy about sort of my potential. But with time, with the right people around me, my self-awareness began to grow, my confidence. And I've never forgotten when I won the CNN award in 2012, an award that I thought would be given only to, seasoned veterans. And I remember thinking the Alex Chamwadas of this world were the people who won awards, not newcomers like me, not unknowns like me. And here's okay, let me say this, right? I've been watching this thing on Netflix called, is it not How They Made It? What's that series called? I'm actually scrolling to my Netflix because it's on my, and please, as you watch Netflix, look for content that builds you. The movies that made us. Go to Netflix and watch the movies that made us. It goes behind the scenes of some of the famous movies of our time, from Jurassic Park to Forrest Gump to, there are so many. And even Bruce Willis' Die Hard. What I love about it is this. It shows you your favorite actors before they made it, before they became self-aware. You know, there was a time people did not know who Julia Roberts was. She was a nobody, like she could not carry a field. I grew up knowing Julia Roberts was born in Hollywood, born with $100 million per movie. And there was a time studio executives were saying, she doesn't have it. Bruce Willis was doing comedies. Bruce Willis is a hero in my days, man, his movies. So everybody started somewhere. And for me, I love the fact that, especially when people underrate you and don't think you can make it, and then you blow their minds because you did not give up, and they dismiss you and they say, this one can't carry this, can't carry that. So don't worry. Even the Julia Roberts and the Bruce Willis of this world went through seasons of either imposter syndrome or not really aware of their potential. It's only later on when the world celebrates them that they may be realized. So whatever you are doing, even if you feel you don't have what it takes, as long as you're moving forward a step at a time. Self-awareness, just like success, is a journey and not necessarily a destination. Don't give up. I still am on a journey of fully understanding who I am, 15 years into the media.
Wow.
I could say more, but
really...
I'm time.
Congratulations, by the way. I love what you said. You're still in the journey of just discovering yourself. So if you're in the room, we still have a long way to go. Not really long, but make sure you make the right milestones, even as you're on the journey. Because see, you got the CNN award. That was pretty exciting. And you had not been in the media house for so long. So I'll ask another question, which is very key, I want to presume. And many people are looking into transition, and Faith is asking, so how do you diversify your portfolio when you're transitioning and if moving to something else entirely or adding something else to your investment career portfolio? So how do you go about that? Probably that will be the final question. We just respond while you're on the call. Okay,
I'll take Faith's message with someone's message here. They've DM'd me directly. Let me read it. I won't say their name in case they don't want. They're asking, how do you handle black debt? The debt that comes with having to support your relatives. They are saying they want to try new risky career paths, but due to responsibilities of parents and siblings, you stick to more conservative paths of sure monthly income. How do you balance diversification and remain committed to primary responsibilities like parenting and siblings as well? And that is the story of majority of Kenyans. Maybe you came from the village to Nairobi and you are sent here to get money to sort your loved ones. This is what I can say. Whereas the stories of Bill Gates and your Mark Zuckerberg, who diversified from their degrees to go and start these farms with $100. I realized in Kenya, every billionaire started with one business. I started by selling fruits. Now I'm a billionaire. So there are those, let's call them outlier stories. They are not the norm, but that is not the story for everyone. Not everyone will be Bill Gates. Not everyone will quit college and go on to run multi-billion-dollar businesses. For a lot of us, it is a series of small, calculated steps that will get us to where we are, okay? It is not a big leap. And whereas I'm not stopping anyone from the big leap, please, if you have the capacity to do that, because I don't want you to quit today and your parents back at home and your siblings' school fees is dependent on you. But remember, I challenged you about diversification within your current career. And for me, I can say this, the biggest diversification for me has been in my job, not outside it. So I haven't quit my job to go and run this business. partly because of responsibilities, just like everyone else, but also because I felt that I maybe later on in life when I'm more stable, I can then go and run a big business on my own. But for now, I want that balance of safety, quote unquote, whilst diversifying within my field. So diversifying within my field is going back to school, okay? It's expensive. I know not everyone can do it, but I've also spent a lot of time looking for scholarships, and I know where there is a will, there is a way. Diversification is taking on an extra shift at work for a season to allow you to learn a new skill. So for example, in the newsroom, I know there are people who joined us as production assistants, basically running around, making sure a show is on air and that sort of thing. Along the way, they decide, I also want to be a producer for a certain journalist. And so they take extra time to follow that journalist to the field and help them do what they're doing. Then another one says, I want to become a director. And they sit under a veteran director and they are taught as well. They haven't left their job, but they're increasing their value within that job. And it doesn't pay immediately, but it prepares them for the future, whatever the future may look like. So that's what I can say to the black tax. To Faith, if I can just quickly, there are too many questions now here.
Yeah, there's so many.
Faith, transition while diversifying, if moving to something else. Yeah, so for me, I am hesitant to move to something new entirely at this stage in my life, okay? When I was younger, I thought I did because I felt there were fewer things that I was responsible for. And so there are a lot of factors that you need to look at for you to determine whether you're moving to something completely new or just adding something to your investment or career portfolio. But I would say this, I usually do for me a list of pros and cons of every move. And where the cons outweigh the pros, I walk back first and I look before I decide to move forward. But I also say this, sometimes it is safer to make smaller, more measured transitions. In the grand scheme of things, they could make for a bigger, more calculated leap. Rather than doing a jump without a parachute, for me, I'd rather make small jumps with parachutes. I've just found that that's what has worked for my life. But let me not stop anyone in the room who's ready to make a big jump. You might be the next Forbes 30 or 40 under 40, but that's been my formula so far. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Waihiga Mwaura, for the great insights there. And I know guys in the room have really taken down notes. I hope you had your pen and paper just to write down the notes and just taking up some insights from Mwaura's life journey and career journey as well. So remember, the idea is making sure you take small calculated risks, rather not even risks, but make sure that you have goals and make sure that the goals are also you have their time bound so that you're able to achieve what you need to achieve. He said he's working on a couple of things, and he's already mentioned that by this year, there are things that he wanted to put around empowering young people, because I know you're also very big in empowering people, youths in churches, and I've seen you do that. And thank you so much for your time, Waihiga. God bless you. Probably you can just answer a few in the chat box. Please don't leave. And anyway, back to Career Hub. I've mentioned about the Centonomy Career Hub, and this is a 7-week program that helps you package yourself so that you stand out and grow and scale up the ladder of your career. So we have 7 modules. Once you sign up, you'll go through 7 modules, and we're talking about 7 weeks, and we get to understand why you get hired and promoted. Now, this particular module is called Making Boss Moves. And it's a very, very interesting module because it opens up your eyes to some of the things that you can do to ensure that you're making boss moves in your current work position. Then we go to the second module, which is knowing your strengths. So you know your strength, identifying your strengths, understanding yourself very well, finding a job that suits you. Even within your current job, you can actually find a role that really suits you depending on your strengths and how to leverage on your strengths, skills, and qualifications. And then from there, we go to personal branding. I saw a question on personal branding, and I know one of our speakers is very big on that, who's gonna just break that down for us. And we look at how that works. How do you build your personal brand? How do you sell yourself? Because personal branding is about putting yourself out there and people buying that brand. Then we look, and then that particular module also looks at cultivating the right image and leveraging on your personal brand at your workplace. Then from there, we go to communicating, effective communication, very key. Public speaking skills. So we delve into public speaking skills, how to capture and engage your audience. And you realize that your audience is usually the person that you want to attract their attention. If it is your boss, for example, if probably it's somebody who is in a certain industry and you want to capture their attention, that is your audience. So how you communicate is very key. Then how to capture and engage them, and delivery is also something that we look at when we're tackling the effective communication skills. Then we go to social capital. This module moved me. Influence and networking for success. You don't just network with everybody unless you need to have a goal in mind and know who you're networking with and the influence that they're going to have on your career. How to create social capital for success in employment, communicating effectively. And when we're talking about communicating effectively where social capital is concerned, we're looking at business English. Then we have advanced career planning. We must have a plan. You must always have a plan, and it has to be very, very, very clear. So we go into effective job hunting. We look at high CV impact. We look at impact interview, understanding your job contract, and taking the right action. Then, of course, we look at leadership. And I keep on saying that we are leaders in every aspect, in whatever aspect that God has called you or wherever you are in currently, you're a leader. So understanding authentic leadership, leading without a title. That's why we are all leaders. We don't have to have a title to be a leader, and then building leadership skill. So this program is a 7-week program, and we start on the 7th of October. So between now and 7th of October, you still have time just to make sure that you prepare yourself, prepare your mindset to join the class. And the registration for that particular program is usually 1,650. And today I know we are offering a discount. So stick around to listen to, just to get to know how much you're going to be paying for the program. And for registration today, because we are giving out a discount. We feel like we are very generous today. And I know Juliet is in the room. She's behind this particular event. She's the one who's organized it. And I know she has something for us today. I know Juliet is in the room and she'll definitely give us something. So please stick around even as we continue with this amazing webinar. I am learning a lot. So having a primary income investment, I had never thought about this like very deeply, like primary income investment, secondary income investment, volatile investment, and just having a lifelong investment plan. Very, very key. Our next speaker, her name is Santa Wangeshi. She's a sales and marketing professional and currently working at Little Limited as a lead for Mombasa City. She has previously worked in different sales roles at Brighter Monday, Kenya, Magnet Ventures, and KCB Bank Group. She holds a Bachelor of Commerce degree, marketing major from Strathmore University. Her passion for sales can be tracked back to her pre-professional days where she sold items that appeal to her fellow students in Strathmore University, such as bags, jewelry, cosmetics, and pastries. The reason then was to make some extra money, but now she has discovered that she loves getting people excited about the things that she's excited about. Right now, she's mostly interested in getting companies to be excited about Little Limited services and, of course, Centonomy Career Hub. I'm excited that you bring this. When I'm reading this portfolio, her bio, I'm just thinking about her passion and just she's actually putting life into her profession, which is very key. And when you sign up for the Centonomy Career Hub program, you'll definitely learn more about this. So I want to welcome Santa Wangeshi. If you're in the room, kindly turn on your mic and your video. Would love to see you and listen to your story, even as you inspire us today. Sandra, if you're in the room, kindly turn on your mic. Would love to hear your very interesting journey.
Thank you, Maureen.
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, and I can see you very clearly, loud and clear as well. I can hear your voice. Karibu sana, and just take it away.
Okay. Thank you so much for this opportunity that the Career Hub has given me to talk to 300 of you. Yes, 298. Yes. So it's such a privilege to be here among great speakers like Waihiga, Mwenesi, and Cynthia. So I'm very humbled for that. Like you have mentioned, yes, I'm a sales and marketing profession. I discovered this way early in my career, and that's something that Waihiga mentioned, that you can diversify from your university days. So for me, it came early. And I'm fortunate that when I was in university, I was doing so many side hustles that I didn't think they would lead to anything, because from the get-go, I knew I would go to Strathmore, do a Bachelor of Commerce, major in finance, and one day be a finance CFO in a big organization. So I had a plan. But come second year, I started a side hustling with my friends where I would sell different things to just earn an extra income. But from that, I discovered that I love selling. And Toastmasters, because I was in Toastmasters and I was in charge of recruiting people, I also discovered I would bring in new members very easily. And friends would approach me and they were like, "Hi, Santa, you are really good in this. Could you think about it?" And mentors would also channel me and tell me, "Consider this as something that you can earn income from." And I'm glad that I took their advice, because come that year, after I had majored in a finance major, I quickly started talking to my mom and telling her, "I don't think this is for me." Because finance, yes, I was good in numbers, but I realized I'm not really passionate about it. And in as much as I had a goal and a plan of how I would plan out that goal of becoming a financial controller, I didn't really see myself doing numbers on a daily basis. And for me, sales would ignite so much happiness in me. And I would go home feeling happy that I sold a product, I earned something, I recruited members for a certain program. Friends were coming to me for me to sell for them their products, and I was able to sell it. And I realized this is something I'm passionate about. And I'm glad from that, I was able to venture into different sales roles. And that has allowed me to now become a lead in Mombasa for the company that I'm currently working for. And one thing I'm very grateful is that Centonomy has also allowed me to understand my goals very well. When I joined Centonomy Career Hub, I always say I was at a stage whereby I felt there's someone's mic they have unmuted themselves kindly. So like I was saying, when I joined Centonomy Career Hub, it was because I was confused. Yes, I liked sales, but I wasn't seeing how I was progressing in my career. And I wanted something new, something to ignite the passion that I had and to allow me to make boss moves. And I remember the first time that I did Centonomy Career Hub, it was a free trial class. And Mwenesi kept mentioning boss moves. And from that class, I would feel like these boss moves are what I should be making now in my career to avoid plateauing. And I'm glad that I took a chance on myself and decided to invest in myself. And that's one thing that all of you should do, because you should focus on investing in yourself in such a way that someone else takes a chance on you. And for me, by doing Centonomy, people in my organization took a chance in me, and I was promoted to lead the whole of Mombasa. And it has been such a beautiful journey, because I've realized so much. It's one thing to sell to a market that you're used to, but it's also another thing to dive into a new space whereby I've never been to Mombasa, but now I get to travel there to pitch to people who we have nothing in common. We have different culture backgrounds, and that is getting me out of my comfort zone. It's allowing me to grow. So one thing I would encourage all of you, get out of your comfort zone, allow yourself to grow. And this growth can be enrolling in different courses, like Waihiga was mentioning. You can do short courses. For me, when I joined Centonomy Career Hub, I didn't have the whole amount set out. I just took a chance on myself, decided to do the installment plans that they had. So I would pay by installments. But even by paying by installments, I knew that I'm taking a chance on myself. And the installments paid up, I was able to finish paying by the end of the class. So you don't have to have all the money set out. You can start with the little you have, take advantage of the discounts being given today, like I did, because I enrolled with a discount, and by paying by installments, I was able to finalize the class. So yeah, what I can finalize on is definitely take a chance on yourself. Investing in yourself is the best investment that you will make. Like for me, I'm now enjoying the benefits that Centonomy allowed me to do. I was able to take boss moves, take on different roles in my career. My income has definitely gotten better because of that. And also my skills have expanded. I'm able now to do more. I'm able now to be more courageous in selling to different people, unlike those I was used to. So yeah, I am open for questions. Feel free to ask me anything.
All right. Thank you so much, Santa. I'm just thinking, there's a time I sat with one of our alumni. She had done the Career Hub program, and she was going through a certain phase. Her story is actually on our platform. So if you're able to follow us, just quickly go to the Centonomy website, just check our YouTube channel, you'll be able to hear her story. This lady has just come in, she's done one of our programs, then she's like, okay, what do I do again? So she shifts and goes to the Career Hub program. And as she does a program, she realized, there's something that's changing with my attitude, number one. Number two, I'm able to appreciate who I am, because I remember when we were carrying out the interview, she was like, you know what, I think I was depressed because I didn't understand myself. So for her, it was very therapeutical. So what was your aha moment, even before we go to the chat box, just to answer some of the questions that have come in for you?
I think for me, my aha moment came in the class whereby we would talk about our strengths and weaknesses. Yes, I'm passionate about sales, but I'm also passionate about different things, such as teaching people. So I've never really thought about how can I use this strength to propel myself in my career. So by realizing that, there's also how they make you feel that your weaknesses are, you can take advantage of your weaknesses. Yeah, so taking that on, encouraging myself to take up the different strengths I have, I'm able to train people in things I'm passionate about. For example, in sales, you do a lot of cold calling. I realize for me, cold calling comes naturally. I'm able to pick up the phone, call Maureen, convince you to sign up with us. But there are people for them that's a struggle. So I've been training people in the office on how to do that. And from that, I've realized once I train, people become better. So that's a strength I have. And I'm looking forward to taking up more training roles in different areas that I'm passionate about. So yeah, Centonomy allows you to remember those strengths you have and you didn't realize you could maximize on them.
I love it. As Mwenesi would say, pewa kitu. That's good to know, and I'm glad that there's that the program helped you identify your strength, and you have been maximizing on that to ensure that your value is actually being felt, and that's why you're actually in Mombasa as the head of like the head of that particular, you're a head of a department, right? So I'll definitely be coming down to Mombasa and make sure you create some room for me just to come and, enjoy the amazing weather. So probably just go through the chat box and check out if there are questions that are there for you and you can respond to them. Just allow me to go ahead and just talk about the discount that we are giving out today. Guys, Centonomy is about managing what you have, and we talk about savings and also taking advantage of complementaries. Yes, so the head of Career Hub program today was very kind to offer a complimentary to you guys, and instead of signing up for 1,650 shillings, you get to sign up for the program at only 500 bob Kenyan shillings. If you're not in the country. We are talking about approximately $5 to $6. You can sign up for the program for about $5 to $6, and trust me, your life will not be the same. We're not talking about just coming into class and going through whatever you studied. It doesn't matter the profession that you are in. The program helps you to package you, the doctor, you, the lawyer, you, the teacher, you, the media personality, me, the salesperson, you, the IT expert, just to make sure that you're leveraging on what you have and bringing out your strength and your potential to make sure that you're growing and you're living the life that you want, and you're actually creating more wealth from it. And Sandra has shared with us her story, and that was really, really insightful. The next speaker, like if I was to read her bio, would actually sit here and listen and digest and come back again and just go through it again. And it's such an honor to invite to us, or to present to us, Cynthia Nafula Nyongesa. Cynthia Nafula Nyongesa is a youth advocate in communication, advocacy, and partnership at UNICEF. She leads the creation and monitoring of digital media content targeted at adolescents and youth in Kenya. Her plan for the next 10 years. I love that. Her plan. We've been talking about the plan. When it comes to diversity, you need to have a plan. So her plan for the next 10 years is to empower people to embrace the values of global, what did I say? Did I say global? Okay, it is global citizenship by hosting a television show that will bring to life these kinds of topics and put a spotlight on young leaders who are working on them. This in line with her digital platform called Cynthia Untamed. Guys, Cynthia Untamed, if you can just write that down and just go and check her out. Cynthia Untamed, which she has been running for the past 4 years. She amplifies the stories of young change makers in Africa. For example, she wrote the story of a young man who runs a boys foundation. He includes women in the conversation and their charitable activities, such as taking part in cleans up within Nairobi City. I love that. Later, a young woman told that his mission had inspired her, and she joined the foundation as a volunteer. In 2020, she was recognized as one of the top 35 under 30, what did I just hear? Top 35 under 35, and she joined the foundation as a volunteer, that is top 35 and under 35 youth in Kenya, in the media advocate category for the Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs, the Youth Agenda. Because of her passion for children, she applied to work as a youth advocate for UNICEF Kenya. An impactful experience was when she facilitated a workshop for 200 out of schoolgirls from Nairobi. As a moderator, she encouraged them to share their stories. One of them approached her. She persuaded her supervisor to give her a chance to speak despite the limited time. Her account of experiencing violence resonated with many girls. She organized in having her story featured in the video of the Day of the Girl and connected her to the Queen of Mathilde of Belgium, who is the honorary president of UNICEF. After sharing her story with her, she pledged to support UNICEF to fundraise and support children suffering from similar situations. I know there's much more just written down there on her bio. And the idea is, I already love Cynthia. I'm already falling in love with you, Cynthia, because your life does not just stop with you. You have gone ahead and impacted not just that one girl who went ahead and just shared her story, but look at that story and how it impacted many other young girls by getting funding so that many of these young girls could get support from UNICEF. Amazing, amazing. Cynthia Nyongesa, are you in the room? Can you turn on your video? I'll have a very loud applause to you. If you guys can just welcome Cynthia, even as she comes to share her story and experience on diversifying her career portfolio, because honestly, if you go through her portfolio, it's really, really amazing. Cynthia, if you're in the room, kindly take it away. Hi, Cynthia.
Hello, hi, Maureen. Cynthia is currently, she's not here yet. So she told us, so I've just left her something on the chat. So I think we can move on to our next speaker. And then as we wait for Cynthia to join in,
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. Our next speaker, who's very passionate about transforming people's lives. He's a mentor. I follow him very, very closely. He's also the lead trainer at the Centonomy Career Hub. I hope he is in the room. I call him Sam Mwenesi. He's a very, very passionate. He's very passionate about personal branding. He's very passionate about people just making sure that they get the best out of who they are, and he's the lead trainer at Centonomy. He's also an image consultant. The first time I experienced Mwenesi was at Centonomy, just at the launch. So this gentleman walks in the room. Of course, he's well-groomed. The way he walked in the room was very, very different from just any usual person. And that is something I was very, very impressed about, because he taught me that in class as well, because I've done this program. And he walks in the room and he just has a way of just making everybody stop what they're doing and lifting up their heads. They're like, okay, we have noticed Mwenesi, you're in the room. So Mwenesi Musalia has spent over 10 years in senior management positions in various multinationals, both in South Africa and in Kenya, overseeing staff and corporate business growth for each of the companies he's worked for. As a corporate lawyer and a communications professional, the master's degree in international trade and commercial law from the University of Witwatersrand, that is Joburg. Mwenesi founded House of Major, a strategy and communication firm in Nairobi, Kenya. With a burning passion for communication, mentorship, as well as being a keen student of how the flow of information affects human behavior in the corporate and social setting, Mwenesi founded the Etiquette and Protocol Institute of East Africa, and together with several leading trainers, has developed various curriculums and modules for a wide range of clients to help them achieve the best outcome for their internal communication and human resource development needs. Mwenesi delivers these energetic and impactful sessions as an invited part-time lecturer and trainer at various universities and adult learning centers, government institutions, as well as corporate since the year 2015. This includes Leadership and Management 101, including personal mastery and charisma, reputation management, image and personal branding, influence, power and the acquisition of social capital, corporate and business etiquette, including dining and dressing. Okay. Effective goal setting and prioritization, media communications preparedness, public speaking essentials, cross-culture navigation and global awareness, contract management and negotiation, persuasive selling techniques. As part of the communication and human capacity development agenda, Mwenesi is also a presenter on Switch TV for a show called Top Job, which institutes interviews with captains of industries and entrepreneurs, as well as a regular online contributor on soft skills and personal development with a segment of YouTube called Get Yours with Mwenesi. All right, so there are a number of organizations that Mwenesi has worked with, and they're quite wow. Wow, wow, wow. Mwenesi, good job. These are over 30 organizations that Mwenesi has impacted, and you can imagine how many lives those are, including Centonomy as well. He's impacted thousands and thousands of lives. So Mwenesi is also a certified trainer licensed by the prestigious Protocol School of Washington, the global leader in etiquette and protocol services to governments, corporations, and world leaders worldwide. Mwenesi, are you in the room? Good morning, sir. Hello. Okay, as we wait for Mwenesi, because I know he'll be joining us very soon. Just as I go through your chats, as well, I'm seeing quite a number of questions that were coming in, and I can see Waihiga is still in the room, and I'm sure he's responding to some of the questions that you have. But just to go through the cost of the program, if you register today, you register at 500 bob, and the tuition fee for the entire program is 22,200. We know and we understand that it is important for us to plan our monies. So for that reason, we have gone ahead and prepared or have allowed our clients to pay the monies in installments. So we are looking at the first installment. You can pay the monies in 4 installments. So the first installment is 5,700 Kenyan shillings just before you start the class. So we're looking at a total of, if you're signing up today, you're looking at a total of 6,200 shillings. That is 200 Kenyan shillings. If we were to convert that into dollars, we're looking at about $64. And then we have the second installment, which will be due after the next week of your class, the second week into class. It's 5,500, which is close to about $56 or $57 thereabout. And the third installment is $57 as well. And then we have $57 as your final installment. So these monies can be paid through our Payable account. I'll ask Julia to project that for us. If you can kindly project that for us, the payment details, so that I know people are already signing up, and I can see a number of us who have shared with us, who have shared with me private. They have sent me a private chat and they're saying, I have signed up. This is quite amazing. Karibu sana. We look forward to having you in class. And you said that the class begins on the 7th of October. We start the class on the 7th of October, even as we wait for the rest of the speakers to join us. If you have any other question, or if you have a question regarding the program, kindly put that in the chat box. We'll be able to assist. We are quite a number of us from Centonomy Limited, and we should be able to assist with that as well. Okay. Now, just to go through what Waihiga had shared earlier, yes, that you need to have a personal guide, which is very important for you as an individual, especially when you're thinking of diversifying your career portfolio. Yes, you need to think about how to have a personal guide. And for you to have a personal guide, we need to ensure that you have very clear goals when it comes to your career. Like, you need to have very, very clear goals. One of the things that I've done and that has really, really helped me out in my career journey is hanging out, or rather creating, having a group, an accountability group that I work with. The youngest in that group, I think the youngest lady in that group, I should be older than her by about how many years? You know, there people look at people and they're like, you're too young, you cannot even tell me what to do. But one of the people in the accountability group is about, I'm trying to just come up with that figure. She's about 13 years younger than me, but the things that she knows right now, especially now that there's a lot that the internet has brought us. You see, when he was sharing his story and he was saying that when he was very big on social media, guys were like, why are you wasting your time on things that young people should be focusing on? And in fact, those people who spend a lot of time on the socials, I'm sure these are people who are not focused. They just want to pass time. And one of these ladies is very conversant with this. And she just took it up as a challenge to go ahead and just do short courses online that were able to, you know, sharpen that area that area that she needed to learn from, that, you know. So she's very good on that. And when I'm sitting in the office and I don't know what to do, especially when it comes to creating things on the socials, she's one of those people that I'll run out to. And that is what social capital does in the office. Especially, this is how you make use of social capital in the office. You know that you're not very good in a certain area, but you know your colleague on the other hand. And you know what emotional intelligence teaches us? That you do not have to be friends with everybody that you work with, but you have to be friendly in order to actualize the goals of the organization and your own personal goals. So this is what happens. You cannot be perfect in everything. So you need to approach that person who's very good in a certain area, and they'll help you walk that journey, or even carry out some of these assignments for you. And in return, you can also offer your value, what your strengths, what you're very good at, and by the way, you'll get the job done. There are people who get accolades in the office, they get recognitions in the office, not because they did the job on themselves, by themselves, but it's because they were able to work with people who are very good at that. That is one of the things that I learned when we were learning social capital in the office. About branding, that is something that stood out. And one of the questions that Mwenesi keeps on asking is, are you a general or are you a soldier? A general will definitely see things from a different perspective, yes? You're like a hawk. You always see things through strategy. But a soldier, on the other hand, will always take up instructions from a general. So in your current job position, are you a general or are you a soldier? One of the other things that we have learned when it comes to social capital again, because those are the two modules that stood out for me, personal branding and social capital. The person that you are, your audience, the person that you're seeking attention from, are they seeing you from the value that you're offering, or what are you presenting yourself to them as? How are you communicating? Are you making use of what you have to ensure that you are attracting the right audience in the office? When I was asked that question, I needed to go, I went back to the drawing board, and I needed to make sure that I had everything, that I just looked at my strategy. I just needed to review how I work out, how I relate with people. I needed to go back to the drawing board and just identify who my target market was. And by the way, things really changed onwards. So I don't know whether our speakers are in the room. Juliet will alert me if Cynthia is in the room, or Mwenesi, and then we should be able to proceed. So even before they come in, this is how the tuition fee looks like. So today we are giving a special offer of 500 bob. Guys, sign up. Guys, sign up. 500 bob can as well be, is it coffee? Coffee and a snack, or nowadays we have very many organizations, or rather restaurants, that are offering food online, and I keep on getting coupons, and you're like, you know what, today, if you wanted a 3 pizza, or if you wanted, you wanted soda, chicken, and the 3 pizza, this will cost you this much. Why don't you save up that amount and sign up for the program today? And remember, where there's a will, there will always be provision. So today, if you sign up, you'll sign up with 500 bob, and then, and you know, because I'm a marketer at Centonomy, head of personal finance. I talk to clients, and sometimes somebody will tell you, I know, and I agree. I'm not saying I agree, with all due respect, that sometimes getting this amount of money at one particular point can be very hard. And maybe you had different plans for your money. But this is an investment that you need to make today to ensure that you are at a better place tomorrow. Yeah, so sign up with 500 bob. So the first installment will be 5,700. Guys, 5,700. That is about about $58. What will $58 buy you? A bag and a shoe? Yes, I'm a lady. Hair. The other day I was looking at wigs, and I looked at the cost, and I was like, okay, fine. Am I willing to invest this much money on my hair? Yes, of course. I need to look good. I need to feel good as a person, but you can as well invest this in your career so that you're at a better place. So the second installment is 5,500, and then the third installment will be 5,500. So these are weekly installments, 4 weekly installments, to ensure that you add value to your life, that you invest in your career so that you're at a better place tomorrow. Probably Juliet, kindly share the next screen, and let's see how we can make the payments today. So for you to be able to make the payments, this is how you register. If you're not in the country, we'll definitely tell you how to make that payment, especially if you're in Uganda and you're not able to use, because I know there are people who are not able to pay directly via M-Pesa. So go to M-Pesa right now, go to the M-Pesa menu. Once you go to the M-Pesa menu, go to Payable, go to the Payable. Once you get to the Payable number, put 500 bob. Yes, 50. Please don't put 5,000. If you put 5,000, that is good, because you'll have already paid part of the money. So put 500 bob. After you put 500 bob, then you pay your first installment, and then pay for registration. And then when you're in placing, because you'll be asked for your account number, you put your first name. For example, my name is Maureen, and then you say Maureen, then the word career. We'll be able to get that, and Juliet will definitely send you more details on how to join the class. Let me go through the comment session. Arnold, I am so sorry about that. I am so sorry about that. I understand. They have sent in their apologies, but they should be joining us shortly. I am so sorry about that. They should be joining us shortly. Please stick around. Please don't leave. Stick around. They should be joining us shortly. Juliet, once one of the speakers joins us, let me know, and then we'll be able to proceed. We'll be able to proceed. Okay. Hi, are the installments payable monthly or weekly? They are weekly because the program runs for 7 weeks. The program runs for 7 weeks. So you pay, so 7 weeks, those are 4 weekly installments, but you can also pay them in, because we're looking at about 1.5 months. So you can pay the installments in, you can actually decide to pay it in 2 installments. That's about 10,000 and 12,000. But Juliet can work out a payment plan with you. Can you, Juliet, share your email address? Once the people register, I know they should be able to let you know that they've registered. One of our speakers is just about to join the room. Thank you so much for just bearing with us. One of our speakers is just about to join the meeting shortly. So as we wait for the speakers, for him just to make sure that he's turned on his mic, he's sorted out his internet issues as well. I'd like us just to think about one of those people, one of the renowned persons who really stood out in his career, and he's late. I'll talk about him with a lot of respect because the difference that he made to many, the impact that he created was quite amazing. I want to talk about the late Bob Collymore. The late, I'll call him Sir Bob Collymore. Why, sir? Because he broke the barriers. I know we are in a season, or rather in a space where papers are very important. It is very important to go back to school, gain all the skills that you need. But Bob Collymore has taught us one thing, and that will always stand out, that as much as he did not have a degree then, he was able to lead one of the biggest blue chip companies or telco companies in Kenya, and that was Safaricom Kenya. And it was so amazing how people were able to, the company was able to rise in terms of make so much profits during his leadership. And it was so interesting that despite what people would say, you do not, I don't think you qualify for this position, but he really proved us wrong. And that is one of the examples that is used in the office. Don't look at where you are, don't look at what you don't have, don't focus on what you don't have. Sometimes it is important, in fact, it is always important to focus on what you have. And that boils down to gratitude. Are you grateful for what you have? And what are you doing with what you have? Yes, what are you doing with what you have? Waihiga has told us about getting online and just making sure that you're making use of the many free online courses that are available to us. Yes, how many of us take time just to go online? Because we're looking at diversifying your career portfolio. How many skills do you have? Have you started and thought about the skills that you have, the value that it could offer? And if you were to add on a few more skills and the difference, the kind of difference that would make, yes? Because as I mentioned before, if you look at an employer and an employee, we are looking at, it's actually a business, yes. You're offering your value and you're getting paid for your value. So are you improving on what you have? Are you already adding on what you have to ensure that you're offering more value and that you're creating more wealth? All right, just before I continue speaking, I can see Mwenesi Musalia in the room. This guy is my mentor. And I told you the first time I saw Mwenesi, he walked in the room and everything just stopped. Because there's a way he walks, there's a way he commands a certain presence. And apparently this is what he's going to transfer to you when you sign up for class. Mwenesi had already read out your profile. He's an image consultant. He's a trainer. He's actually impacted more than 30 corporates and more than, I think, tens of thousands of people with what he does. Very passionate about ensuring that you are at your best, that you're a general and not just a soldier. Mwenesi Musalia, karibu sana, good to have you. And I hope you're ready.
Hi,
I'm fine, thank you, Mwenesi, because you're ever ready, yeah?
I don't know about that, but I mean, it's always a pleasure to be here and to be with you guys. This is, you know, when I saw the title of this talk today, Diversifying Your Career Portfolio, I was a little bit conflicted because I've always been a champion of people specializing and trying to find one or two things that they can be really solid at so that they can overcome things. You know that famous saying by Bruce Lee, I don't fear the man who has done 10,000 kicks once. I fear the man who has done the same kick 10,000 times. And that's a mantra that I subscribe to. It's one that I encourage people to do. But I am always aware that there are people who have different talents inside the same body, which sometimes can be a little bit confusing because you're like, okay, should I go in this direction? Should I go in that direction? What should I do with all of this stuff? Am I wasting myself? And so there needs to be an outlet for all of your talents and all of your skills. And hopefully, I don't know how much time I have, Maureen, because I was pegged for a little bit earlier, but maybe if you can give me an indication of time, maybe I can speak through some of the challenges that come up whenever you're thinking about what to do with all of that talent that you have.
Mwenesi, you have about 20 minutes to go.
A whole 20, wow.
Yes.
All right. All right, let's see if we can get through it. So yeah, we as human beings, we always, I think beyond believing that we're just put on this earth to like eat, sleep, pass waste, and die and reproduce, which is what all animals in the mammal species are supposed to do. We are animals, but we need to go beyond that, right? And I realize that especially now with the amount of changes that technology has brought to us, more and more people are discovering that they are not maximizing their truest potential. And there's always a fine balance. You know, there's the animal instinct that tells you you need to survive. You need to just stay alive. You need to pay bills. You need to not sleep outside. You need to not be naked. And at some basic level, you need to also educate yourself and whoever it is that you're bringing into this earth, i.e. your children. So school fees, rent, bills, day-to-day concerns are, it's for me, that is like basic. That's a basic consideration of who we are as living mammals, as human beings, because we are programmed to survive. Okay. And why I love the Career Hub so much and why I've been so invested in it over the last 6 years is because it's not just about survival anymore, guys. It's about thriving. It's about punching beyond your weight class, playing out of your skin and maximizing your fullest potential. And so if we're talking about going beyond surviving and we're going into now thriving, what are some of the things that we need to do so that we can do this and then not be too confused whenever we think of ourselves as one-track individuals? Because some people, and I'll begin the conversation by saying some people are defined by their environment, and then there are others who define their environments. I'll repeat that. Some people are defined by their environments, and some people define their environments. And what we try and do at the Career Hub is to help you become the latter. Be the person who defines your environment, because we are in the day-to-day struggle of surviving and paying bills and rent. We sacrifice a lot of our potential. We sacrifice a lot of our hopes, dreams, our purpose. We give all of that up just so that we can do the bare minimum, which is surviving. Okay. And then whenever there's a change in the environment or there's a shift that occurs in the environment, maybe the economy changes, Obviously, all of us know that COVID has not been kind to us. I mean, health-wise, we pray that we can get out of this pandemic, but it has caused a shift in economic circumstances. Sometimes you will get laid off. Sometimes your boss will not be the kindest person. And there are many other factors that will bring change into your environment. But what we try and encourage everybody to do and really appreciate is that change is the only constant. You must accept change, because the minute you think that everything is just going to be the same, then you're setting yourself up for failure. And that's how you end up becoming a victim of your environment, because the environment is going to change with or without you. The sun will rise and set tomorrow with or without you. Things are going to happen with or without you. We need to control the things that we can control. And that starts off with what's going on up here between our ears. What are we processing and what are we thinking about on a daily basis? And do we have a very dead set, dare I say it, even selfish agenda for ourselves? Okay. And I know this, it sounds almost inhumane to say have a selfish agenda, but it's actually not, because the minute you realize that you cannot do things by yourself, that you are not an island, that you are a social creature, that you have to interact with people in order to get ahead and to get what you want. By nature and by consequence, you will end up being a kind, generous human being, because you realize that you cannot get anywhere by yourself. So the first thing really, guys, is, do you have a selfish agenda for yourself? Okay? Are there things that you see and you envision that you want to accomplish? Right? Because that way you then stop being a victim of the environment and stop being a victim of circumstance and start to look inside of yourself. You start to look inward. What skills and talents and abilities and interests do you have at an individual level that you can then put out into the world, and those things can then give you value? Okay? I'll repeat that. The minute you have a selfish agenda, something that you want to accomplish for yourself, all right, then it becomes your ethos and your purpose for being. It becomes your ethos and your purpose for getting up and going outside, as opposed to paying bills, making sure you don't sleep outside, making sure you have clothes on your body, eating, and all of those other basic adult things that we have to do anyway, all right? The minute you have that in your mind, and that is your guiding force. I was on a panel discussion 2 days ago, I think on Thursday, and a friend of mine, Rena Hicks, said that you have to know what your big why is. What is your big why? What is your big why? And then there might be some smaller whys in between there that can become like milestones, but what is your big why? Once you have that, your selfish agenda, your big why, no boss needs to come and tell you, Mwenesi, get up, you need to come and do this thing. No one needs to, you don't need any kind of motivation, because the motivation comes from within, okay? And then it's now a question of seeing, what resources do I have at my disposal? This is a critical shift, guys, because unfortunately, and I'm not knocking the education system, I'm not knocking you know, how we've been socialized, but unfortunately, we are not encouraged to really look at ourselves as entities that can create value. We're encouraged to look at ourselves as workers. We're encouraged to look at ourselves as human beings who are supposed to do the bare minimum and follow instructions in the best possible way. The schooling system and the education system is structured in a way that we're not encouraged to look at ourselves as value creating entities, but as workers, basically. Follow these instructions, do this, do that, don't do this, sit here, don't sit here, and so on and so forth. What we try and do at Centonomy Career Hub is to get you to look at yourself as a resource center. You've got resources, and I promise you guys, every single person has the same amount of resources. It's just a question of how much more of that can you get so that you can maximize your potential. Time, your networks, your brand or your reputation, money, of course. And the last one is you. We all have the same 24 hours. What are you doing with your 24 hours? Are you spending your 24 hours taking instruction? Are you spending your 24 hours being instructed by your environment? The government is telling you to do this. Your mother is telling you to do that. Your boyfriend or your girlfriend is telling you to do this. Your teachers are telling you to do that. And so you're not the custodian of your agenda, but other people are the custodians of your agenda. So it's definitely important that it's very important that we start to realize and appreciate that we first are the first resource. You are the first resource. Time is the second resource. Your networks, because they're people. I mean, right here we're sitting, there's about 252 people in this chat. Right now, any of you 252 people have the capacity to take me forward. I know that for a fact. That's why I'm here. There is resource in this panel. There are people here who know people who could do things. There might be people with certain skills, certain talents. Some people could be in hospitality. Some people could be accountants. Some people could be event people, creators, designers. There's so many talents and skills in this very panel. But are you doing enough? Are you doing enough to touch those people's lives in a way that they can then help you do what you need to do? Okay. My own story is quite, it's in line with what I'm talking about. I realized very, very early on through a bunch of circumstances that I thoroughly enjoy human beings. I know it sounds very weird to say that, but I really like people. People fascinate me. I study people the way someone who loves film studies movies. I study people the way someone who likes cars studies cars. So I've always had that in mind, but I didn't know whether to box that into a particular type of profession, because society and education was telling us that if you like people, then you needed to go into certain things. You need to either go to media, become a journalist, become a teacher, become a lawyer, there were set categories of defined careers that anybody who liked people was supposed to follow. Become a marketer, become a salesman. And guess what, guys? I became all of those things. I literally became all of those things. And it's not that I became all of those things. I found that my resources and my interests and my capacity allowed me. And this is the term that I want you, wherever it is that you are, to really appreciate. Your interests, your talents, your capacities are the things that allow you to get involved in whichever path that you think is best to exchange value. It's not about qualifications, guys. I can't stress that enough, because the only person who validates your qualification is the person who is getting the value from you anyway, right? If I can tell you the number of people who have walked through my door here with degrees, people have degrees in this and that and so on and whatever, but in terms of the thing that I actually need them to do for the business or for the company, deficient, because they're fixated on the qualification and the degree rather than, can you actually create value? Can you actually exchange value? All right. And this is the other thing, guys. I think we've come to a point in our lives where we need to appreciate that you showing up to work, sitting, waiting for, I don't know, however many hours it is between 9 a.m. and 5 a.m. or some people it's between 8 to 5 or 7 to 4. I don't know, however long your working hours are. You doing working hours, you showing up for working hours does not matter anymore. And COVID has really taught us that, all right? And the minute you can appreciate that time is one of those critical resources that you need to harness, then you will ask yourself, how am I maximizing this 1 hour? How am I maximizing this day? How am I maximizing this week? Because if you say, I am a lawyer and that's all I know and that's all I can do because that's the path that I chose and I went into this thing and I'm a lawyer and the world said that I am a lawyer, all right? You are shutting off the capacity that you have inside you to give value in different sectors of the economy, to exchange value in different sectors of the economy, all right? So yes, you might have studied. I have 2 degrees. I have an LLB and a master's in law. I'm a commercial lawyer by education, but I also happen to have experience in marketing. I have 15 years experience in marketing, guys. I've been doing below the line marketing and activations since the age of 17. All right. I have worked as a barrister in a coffee shop. I have done promotions. I have stood in aisles, in shopping aisles, in supermarkets and handed out things, simply because all of these things require you to have some level of people skills, some level of appreciation of human beings. And so the minute you know that it's your talents, it's your skills, it's your capacity that allow you to do those things, and not the other way around. You cannot wait for people to validate you and say, okay, now you are allowed to come and do this. Now you are allowed to come and do that. All right. And I know there'll be pushback and say, well, there's certain jobs that you cannot do unless you have the degree. I get that. For example, surgery. All right. And I don't know how the progress in medicine is. I mean, you do want someone who has at least some level of qualification to cut you open and do the things that they need to do. However, I know of people who do not have not even a stitch of medical education, who are performing surgeries in parts of the world and doing so successfully. Now, there are considerations such as ethics and regulations, and I'm not saying let's go breaking the law willy-nilly. That's not what I'm about. I'm saying if you know that you can operate within a certain framework and you have certain skills and capacities, do not hold back, because you were put on this earth to do more than just eat, sleep, pass, waste, and reproduce and die. You were put on this earth to achieve something, all right? And so if you have certain skills and capacities, and that's what Centonomy Career Hub is about. It's about extracting and opening up your thinking, opening up your capacity, opening up so that you die empty. There's a book, I think, by Robin Sharma, the monk who stole my Ferrari. There's a saying, he says, die empty, you know? Don't leave your potential. I mean, who are you leaving all that potential on this earth for? Give it your absolute maximum, so that at least you feel like, you know what, I have achieved a modicum of what I was put on this earth to do. And for God's sake, have a plan. Failing to plan is planning to fail. I'll tell you guys that by my third year of university, because I was blessed enough to be able to attend university, I knew what I wanted to do by the age of 45. I think I was 22 at the time. I knew what I wanted to do by the age of 45, because I kind of gave myself, I said, if I was to live, let's say hypothetically for 90 years, potentially, all things remaining constant, then that's the halfway point, right? So at halfway, will I be able to have achieved my fullest potential? Now, I'm a few years away from that, but everything that I am doing, everything that I am about is leading me up to a certain point. If I get to achieve it, fine. But what I have accomplished over the last 15, 16 years of my working life, having worked in promotions, having worked as a DJ, for God's sake, having worked as a salesman, as a business development person, as a corporate director and CEO, as a member of several boards that I still sit on, as a person in media, and as a trainer with places like Centonomy, all of it is adding to the resource base that I need for that big push. But even then, even as I'm enjoying this journey, there's some smaller milestones that I'm hitting along the way. And that's what we encourage you to do, guys, because a life without purpose is kind of depressing. In fact, depression is the absence of purpose. All right. When you're depressed, it feels like you have no hope, like you have nothing to live for. Why should I live? Why is there a reason for me to get up every day and do what I'm doing? So once you have a purpose, you have some defined milestones and targets that you are hitting, at least some specific ones on a daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly basis. And you're moving towards that, appreciating that it's not the environment that should give you those things. It is you yourself and the capacity that you can raise that will help you achieve those things. Having purpose allows you to live your fullest life and to explore all of the talents and potential that you have inside of you. And with that, I guess maybe I'll open it up now to some questions, Maureen, and yeah, hopefully we'll be able to see you guys with us in the coming Career Hub intake. Thank you.
All right, sure. Thank you so much, Mwenesi, for the amazing insights. If you have questions, kindly put them in the chat box. We should be able to read that out. From Stella Kivila to everyone, what is a portfolio career? I think that's what she's asked. Probably can help us with that. What is a
portfolio career. Yes, probably you can just respond to that, Mwenesi.
Okay. My understanding of a portfolio is it's like that basket, but it's the entirety of your career. So if you were to look at someone's LinkedIn, for example, and you see all the things that they've ever done, all the accomplishments, all the achievements, every single thing that they've ever done and possibly want to do in the future, that entirety is your career portfolio. And a portfolio is only as good as its ability to exchange value. I'll repeat that. A portfolio is only as good as its ability to exchange value. So the work that I did in 2015, the work that I did in 2011, the work that I did in 2008, if it cannot help me now, it was a waste of time. Okay? If it cannot help me now, it was a waste of time. If I ended up doing things that, you know, I did it because I needed to pay bills and I really didn't care about it. I wasn't invested. I don't care. I can't remember what I was working there for. I have no networks that I gained. I didn't build any kind of reputation. I didn't grow in any kind of way. No talents were achieved there. I have nothing to carry forward into this new season or this new phase of my life. So basically what I did in my past has been wasted. Guys, I can tell you now, every job that I have done has contributed to the next job. This talk that I'm having now is going to contribute to one that I will probably have this afternoon. I will probably take nuggets from here and use them in the next engagement that I will have this afternoon, or maybe even on Monday or the next week. So your portfolio is the entirety of the stuff that you've accomplished over time. If you ever worked as a waiter, for example, I use a lot of the skills that I gained as a waiter in a place called the Seattle Coffee Company in Johannesburg. I was a waiter. I was a waiter / busboy / barrister. For 7 good months, I worked that job. All right. What I learned is what now allowed me to bring that talent to the boardroom whenever I was pitching for marketing jobs. And when I was now teaching people who were promoters and were going to do activations below the line, I took a lot of the skills and the lessons that I learned as a waiter, because when you're a waiter, and anybody who has ever been a waiter will tell you, you will deal with the most rude, entitled, weirdest, craziest fellows on earth. It is proper character development. Forget about supporting Arsenal. That is character development, I'm telling you. So you have to take the lessons. You have to use everything that you pick up in your career as you go along, and let those lessons, let that experience, let those networks help you in the next move that you're trying to make.
Okay, great. I love it. I love it. Harold, I think this is the last question we'll look at, and then probably Mwenesi will help us just by responding to the rest via the chat box. So Harold asks, how do you diversify without being distracted? How do you perfect the art of multitasking?
Distractions come from not having an agenda. If you don't have an agenda, then you will stop at every dog that barks. You will wink at every girl that looks at you. You have to have a clear agenda. Yeah, you have to have tunnel vision. You know, the reason why horses have those things, you know, if you ever go to the horse races, or you watch horse racing on TV, they have these things they call blinkers. You're not allowed to, the horse is not supposed to go, so hey, hi Bob, how are you? Oh, long time, how are the kids? You're supposed to be running, you know. And the minute you can see your agenda, you wake up and you see it every single day. Because guys, it's so easy to be distracted. Oh, there's a deal, you know, let me tell you, there's a deal, you know, you can get, especially now with all this wash business that's happening, people will come to you with all sorts of propositions. Oh, you know, I sold French beans one time and I got a lot of money. Oh, you know, I think we should do avocado farming. Oh, you know, we should sell mitumba. Oh, you know, I heard that there's this guy who knows how to do cement. And all of these things will come to your table, and people will come with all sorts of propositions. If you do not have your own agenda, like I said, you will be a victim to the environment. And those distractions are the environment. You must have an agenda and you have a macro goal, and then have a couple of mini ones along the way. That way, you're not just ukotu, you're not just like, you know, oh yeah, but cine life, what can I do? You know, this is how life is. No. And we will discuss this in module 1. Either you're the general of your life or you're a soldier. So if you're being distracted, where'd you to win a soldier? You're a soldier, And when you're being given instructions and being told, do this, do that, sit here, try this deal, try this job, try this career, try this degree, try this, instead of being ruthlessly focused on your agenda, then for sure you won't really make it.
I love it. Stella, please come to class. I know you're gifted in different areas and things as well, but you know what the career program does, and Mwenesi has just put it out plain, that it helps you as an individual to excel in whatever area that you're working in. So we do not, because you're saying you're a healthcare coach, you're into women empowerment, and the biggest challenge is branding around this, and most importantly, monetizing it. Mwenesi has got you sorted. Atuzi achana na Arsenal, because Arsenal is here to stay. So Carol, tutakosana. No, we are friends. All right, thank you so much, Mwenesi. Thank you so much. That was very, very insightful. As always, I love listening to you. You inspire. And guys, you have not even had a drop of the ocean of what Mwenesi is packaged off. So you definitely need to sign up for this class. And we are signing up for 500 bob today. And the class begins on the 7th of October. So we'll see you guys in class. If you want to see Mwenesi again, if you're not signing up, Aya, kazi kwako. All right. On to our next speaker. I want to introduce Cynthia Nyongesa. Thank you so much, Mwenesi. It's always a pleasure sharing the screen and room with you. It's such an honor. So Cynthia Nyongesa is a lawyer. I had already read out her bio. This is such an amazing woman, young lady, featured in the 35, that is over 25, no, not over 35, under 35, yes, 35 and under 35, and she got an award for that. Cynthia, if you're in the room, I know you're a lawyer. Hey, and today we have 2 lawyers. Okay, great, amazing, yes. Please unmute your mic and just turn on your video so that we can just sit down and draw whatever you have from you and just make sure you pour it out. At Centonomy, especially when you come to the Career Hub program, Mwenesi will always tell you, just give. We are here to receive. Cynthia, take it away.
Thank you so much. And it's so lovely to be here to see all the 248 of you. Thank you so much to Omboy and the rest of the team at Centonomy for inviting me. It is truly an honor to speak to you today. As I've said, my name is Cynthia Nyongesa. I am a 25-year-old Kenyan. And I always start by saying that I am passionate about advancing the rights of children and young people in Kenya, and not just in Kenya, but in Africa and across the world. So I'm really so excited to speak about this topic, because for a long time at this age and in the kind of career that I chose, I always felt out of place. I always asked myself, what am I really doing with my life? Am I really doing the right thing? Am I making the right choices? But I think also speaking to you today really just affirms that I'm actually headed in the right direction. So I'll share a bit of my story and then a bit of the lessons learned, and then I'll ask you to send any questions that you may have. So my story would really begin from the time I was around in class 6, and I developed an interest in journalism. And for me, it was more about telling stories. I remember it really just started out when we were performing a play in class. And as children, we had assigned ourselves different roles. So there were people who were acting, others were making the props. And for me, naturally, it just came naturally. I cannot say that somebody told me to do it. Naturally, I took up the role of a reporter. So I was the one who was reporting on what was happening at that mini drama festival of ours. And as life went on, I had that interest, and it kept shifting here and there. And I also realized that when I was young, I was really interested in areas of humanities and telling stories. But when I got to high school, the high school I went to, we had a deputy principal who was so passionate about children and especially girls' education. I remember for her, immediately KCP results were released and our children had been selected to go to different schools. She'd go checking off the list and asking herself, why isn't this girl here? Why isn't this girl here? And one thing, of course, she would notice all the time is that girls who are coming from very marginalized areas in Northeastern and Turkana, sometimes even here in Nairobi, were not able to come to school because of various reasons like child marriage, and all those issues that girls were going through. And she would actually look for those girls, look for the head of education in that small county in the middle of nowhere, and ensure that those girls would come to school. And for me, that was just so inspiring. I remember I used to say, when I grow up, I want to be like her. And she told me actually that you can be anything that you want to be. So I went on with that notion. And that's when my interest in law actually solidified. And I kept saying that I want to be a champion for the rights of children. So when we were selecting our courses in Form 4, I remember my first option was law, and then my second option was mass communication. And then the other two, I remember I just guessed to fill the form, but I was very sure about my first two choices. And the Joint Admissions Board then actually called me to study mass communication. And then now here is when the conflict started coming. Should I go study mass communication? That is what the government had called me to study, or should I just pursue this other passion in law, and then I can find my way through communication and journalism? So it was really confusing. I remember even by the time I was joining first year, I kept asking myself, have I made the right choice for my life? I kept asking myself all the time. By the end of the second semester, I was thinking, let me just leave and go back to first year and study journalism or mass communication. But it's not because that I was shifting away from the law. It's only that I was never sure. And at 18, at 19, you really need to stop pressuring yourself to figure out the rest of your life. I know Musalia has said that he had figured it out by 22. Some of us, it's just taken so much longer. But I remember what then I decided at that particular point was that I have taken law, but how do I also develop my interest and passion for communication? And so I remember I started looking through the units we were studying in school, and there was a particular unit in fourth year called Media and the Law. And to be honest, at that particular point when I was in first year, the only reason why I stayed in law school, the major reason why I stayed in law school is because I was looking forward to study that particular unit in fourth year, because I thought, oh, I didn't know that the law and media actually have some sort of interlinkage. And so I stayed. But of course, now in between the formation, between the blend, between the law and journalism started coming in. So in 2016, there was a competition by the World Bank Kenya called the Blog for Development Competition, and basically asking young people to share their ideas on development issues. And so I participated in that competition. And like I've told you, my gift for communication and journalism was just very natural. So out of 800, I was one of the 10 who were selected for an interview at the World Bank Kenya office. And so when I went for the interview. I was so psyched up to win. I always tell that story. And then I did not win. And I remember I was so discouraged. But I believe this was also God's way of leading me towards the right path, because it was at that point from that interview that I did that one of the ladies who interviewed me, who's the head of communication at World Bank, and the country director herself, actually gave me feedback, and they told me, we actually see the talent that you have, but you need to find a way of linking it to what you're studying and to understanding the development issues in your country. And so that was a challenge for me. It was really good feedback, and I truly appreciate it up to this day. And they challenged me and they told me, why don't you think of something you can do or something that you can start that will impact the lives of children and young people? And remember, I've told you I'm passionate about the rights of children, and then I have this talent in communication. So how do I bring it together? At that point in second year, of course, I am not a billionaire, so I had to start thinking of the resources that I had. And I remember one of my mentors had actually told me, do your little thing. She had interviewed the late Professor Wangari Maathai, and the late Professor Wangari Maathai told her, ask yourself what you will do for your country. And so I looked at the resources that I had. I just had a platform called blogging and everything. So I went on Google and searched, what is blogging? What is this? And then I realized I could write. And I started asking myself, what kind of stories do I want to write that can actually link to what I like? And I said, okay, I interact with a lot of young people who are driving change in their communities, but nobody tells those stories, or rather, very few people tell those stories. And so I began to write there in second year. You can check it out. It's called CynthiaUntamed.com. And then I realized it's not just about writing, because the more I wrote, the more young people started getting opportunities. So now it was linking my talent with creating opportunities for other people. So let me give an example. I remember one time I wrote this story of a young lady who was running a book organization, ensuring that children access education and also have safe spaces, which are also libraries in their schools. And when I wrote that story, for me, it was just writing, but for her, it was a really big deal. And out of that, she was able to get a fellowship called the Resolution Project Fellowship. That's through the MasterCard Foundation. And that's just one example. But I realized, oh, wait, so my talent in communication and understanding the needs of children and young people can actually come together and create opportunities. And so I remained consistent with that. I kept doing that all the time, never giving up. But of course, trying to network. I was just your ordinary, everyday university student. I did not come from some big family somewhere. I didn't know people. I just started where I could. And now where I landed in communication now properly, professionally, is in 2017. What happened is I was just minding my own business, and then my friend tells me, oh, have you seen this opportunity by UNICEF Kenya? They want a young person who's between 18 and 24 who can travel to South Africa and launch on the future of African children and young people. And she told me, why don't you send your profile? So I sent, forgot about it, spent a whole month living my life. In fact, I remember on the day I was called, University of Nairobi had gone on strike, so we had all been sent home. So I was just in the house waiting for schools to reopen at some point. And they called me, they say, you've seen your profile and this is an interview. So it was that random. And they asked me all that I do. I talked about being a law student. I talked about my digital platform, Cynthia Untamed. And a week later, they told me, you've gotten the opportunity. So your responsibility is to voice the issues that are affecting children and young people. And they were launching a report in Johannesburg. And so that's how I left this country for the first time. I had never flown out of the country. And I think it was only my second or third time being on a plane. And so when we went to South Africa, I was actually able now to use the knowledge that I was getting from class in terms of the issues that were affecting children and young people, and be able to voice them through a media platform, because the people who were organizing this conference were actually communication professionals, but I had the legal knowledge and it was very easy to blend it in. And so a year after that, still being consistent with the work that I do, luckily, before I just graduated, UNICEF advertised for a youth advocates program, and it was also for young people between 18 and 24 years to work at UNICEF for a year and to use what they could to advance the rights of children. And so I applied for it, was interviewed, and I got it. And that's how I landed in communication and advocacy. And I can say in the last 3 years, it's really been an amazing journey. But remember, I was also studying law. By this time, I had already graduated, and I kept asking myself, how do I know what I know and know what I don't know? I really had to figure out where the blanks were. And so, of course, last year, the COVID pandemic just appeared from nowhere, and I was in this WhatsApp group it's called Network of Women in Media and PR, and they put a poster on a course called Professional Diploma in Public Relations by the Chartered Institute of Public Relations and the University of Nairobi. I was like, should I do it? Should I not do it? And then eventually I decided to do it because we were all at home, but also because I really wanted to know what I didn't know and what I knew. And I did the course for 10 months. I graduated just about 3 months ago. And what I came to understand is that over the years, I had all the skills, but I really needed to understand how to measure and evaluate campaigns, because the work that I do right now really majorly involves running campaigns that are able to advance the rights of children and young people. So don't be afraid to move out of what you studied in undergrad to study something else, so that you also bring your passions and your interests together. And so there's also the element of advocacy. Remember, I never left that side. It's only that it was taking me time to put it together. So now I was very qualified in the communication bit of it, but now I needed to learn how to be a better advocate. How do I ensure that we have policies that actually advance the rights of children and young people? Yes, we're running a campaign on ending violence, but we have policies that actually ensure that our campaign will actually be implemented. And so 2 years later, I decided to go back to the Kenya School of Law, and that's where I am right now, where I'm training to be an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. And that is now really bringing the context together, because I've been able to travel through the country and see this is the reality on the ground, and this is what I need to do once I become an advocate. And so the lessons that I learned from this journey that I'd say was more of an accident, but also God sent, is that you need to have options for the future. Because for me, I look at myself and I can see myself fitting in very many roles. I could be a communication officer. I could be an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I could be the Chief Justice. I could be the Minister for Education. I could be the State House spokesperson. I mean, I could do so many things just because of the passions that I have, but also because I'm able to align. My role model is actually, one of my role models is actually Ambassador Amina Mohammed. And I can say she's really the one who inspired me to go back to school and to go to the Kenya School of Law. You may remember last year she was vying to be the head of the World Trade Organization. And just around that time, she was admitted as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. And I was like, oh, wait, I can actually be an ambassador at some point. And so the second thing I learned is that it also helps you to reduce some sort of job burnout. What I've seen with a lot of advocates is that after a long period of time, many of them start saying they're tired, they're bored. But I think also diversifying yourself enables you to be in one space today, another space tomorrow, and you're still accomplishing and impacting the lives of the people you are working with. The third lesson I learned is that it is very important to adapt to the current job that you're doing, whether it is in a voluntary role or you're being paid. It's very important for you to adapt. Now, let me give you an example. One time, I remember I'd come from law school, now I was working in communication. And I remember there was a point where we didn't have a photographer in our department. And I am the one who's tasked with running campaigns and creating content, but I couldn't take pictures. And I told myself, I actually need to learn that. And so I saw this workshop in Rwanda to train people on photography. And I was like, okay, I'd really like to see Rwanda, and I'd also like to learn how to take pictures. And so I paid for it and I went to Rwanda. I spent 10 days there learning the basics of photography. I didn't want to be a photographer, but I knew that I needed to adapt so that I could be able to accomplish the tasks that I was doing. The fourth thing I learned is that when you diversify your career portfolio, you also expose yourself to a lot of opportunities. I've talked about being a lawyer and working at UNICEF, but diversifying myself also has enabled me to sit in youth advisory boards. If you're a young person, basically a youth advisory board is where you have an organization, but you find that a lot of times programs are implemented, but you don't really get to hear the voices of young people. And so I sit in youth advisory boards. One is called Generation Unlimited, where Kenya is a very big partner. That's where I advise partners on partners like the UN, the MasterCard, the Global Partnership on Education, on advancing the rights of young people and what actually works when it comes to education, engagement, and employment opportunities. One of them being diversifying your career portfolio. That's something I could talk about. The other place I've been able to be exposed in is the Global Partnership for Education, which really now focuses on education. And that's really what I'm passionate about, the right of education for every child. So that has enabled me to do so many things. And being someone who's learned communication, just the other day in July, we had the conference, the Global Education Summit, that was being hosted by the Kenyan government. That's our president and the Prime Minister of the UK, Boris Johnson. And I was actually able to open that summit and moderate a couple of panels. And remember, I'm a lawyer. Nobody taught me how to read teleprompters. I literally was just told, today you're moderating the education's reset theme. You need to read a teleprompter. And I'm like, I've never read it. But I also learned, and the good things that the crew also experienced, so they also taught me how to pace myself, how to read, how to focus, and do all those things. So I could easily be a news anchor today. Fifth thing, I'm almost done, is that diversifying your career portfolio also enables you to widen your experience and perspective. And I learned this especially through traveling. Remember, I told you when I went to South Africa, that was the first time I left this country. But because of that, I was actually able to interact with a different set of people. You're able to interact, for example, in that case, with the young people of South Africa, and they're able to talk about their issues. And sometimes you find there's similarities to the Kenyan context. Sometimes you find there's a difference. Let me give one example of the hair. I remember there was this girl I was with, and she was at the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy, and she was telling me in her previous school, girls were being forced to straighten their hair just to ensure somehow it was straight. And this is an African girl, and her hair, of course, cannot just be straight. That's just how it is. And I was like, I've never heard of such a thing, because in Kenya, well, the schools I have been to, nobody was ever forced to have straight hair. In fact, I remember in my high school, majority of the people had kinky hair, and it was all normal. We had a lady who used to do blow dry, but nobody would come and attack you just because your hair was not straight. And for me, I was just like, wait, people live like this. So you're also able to understand different cultures. You're able to learn new things, meet new people, and widening your perspective really is just so important. Lastly, the other aspect of widening your perspective is that you're also able to understand different issues. So for example, I remember there was a time we were doing the Legal Service Week in Kwale, and this was through UNICEF. But I remember when I went to Kwale and were visiting children's remand centers, I remembered that I was actually living in a cocoon, that I am here saying that I want to be an advocate, I want to advance the rights of children and young people, yet I didn't understand all the issues that, for example, some of the children are going through. So like through interacting with those children, I realized just because a child is in a remand center or a remand home or in rehabilitation does not necessarily mean that they're a criminal. It's just because of circumstances. They were born from a poor family. One day they were hungry, stole some bread, ended up in jail. And that's how the rest of their life changes. So that also enables you to understand the issues you're dealing with beyond the classroom. It's very important to be at the library. I am a champion for education. I always say study when you can, but please do not live in the library. Leave the library as much as you can to go and actually see the real world. And finally, as I conclude, out of all the work that I've been able to do, I started my YouTube channel just last year to continue talking about these issues. You can check it out, Cynthia Nyongesa on YouTube. You can find it there, and you'll be able to understand more of what I'm saying. And so because of that, the Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs was named me as one of the top 35 under 35 youth in Kenya, specifically in the media category, because I'm able to amplify stories and actually use the stories to bring change. I was also named as one of the United Nations Volunteers of the Year in 2019, and that's service to children. And lastly, last year, I was also selected as one of the fellows of the International Monetary Fund. And the interesting bit about this fellowship with the International Monetary Fund is that they wanted young people to share their ideas on enabling young people to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. And they wanted people to either write or do videos. And I am not going to say I'm a pro in making videos. But you know what I did? I just sat down, took Canva, did a couple of videos here and there, tried to create a few graphics here and there. And there I was named as the winner of the International Monetary Fund Fellowship. So it's really been an interesting journey. I can say it's figuring it out as I go. So if you're still figuring it out like me, it's okay. But I truly, truly believe that at this point in my life, I am where I need to be. Thank you so much.
Hey, Cynthia. So where do you even get the courage and voice to speak after such an amazing speech? And wow, Cynthia, good job. Congratulations, girl. At 25. Okay, Mwenesi, are you in the room? You know, Mwenesi has a way of just giving me courage, just to go on. Good job, Cynthia. Mwenesi, I don't know what to say, because at this point, I don't think I have the energy to speak. Can you say something, Mwenesi?
No, I was listening to that, and wow, Cynthia, just you are amazing, and may the good Lord and the universe continue to to open up all of those opportunities and give you the strength to keep doing what you're doing. I think you will impact many, many, many lives. Well done. Really enjoyed listening to that. And I resonated a lot with what you were saying. You know, if you're not providing impact, and you see the way Maureen is reacting to your age, I think that's a testament. That's a testament to being able to maximize your time and your potential. Because, and this is not just to Maureen, this is to everybody. We all have the same 24 hours, the exact same 24 hours. It's not like the sun is rising and setting differently for me and for Cynthia and for Maureen and for other people. The same 24 hours are there for you. What are you doing on a minute-to-minute, hour-to-hour, day-to-day basis with your 24 hours? And what are you doing with your talents and your gifts? Because, in fact, you know, as we go along, I don't want to give away too much of the Career Hub, but one of the things that I will allude to, it's actually a specific course that I teach on charisma. And Cynthia, you are one of the most charismatic ladies I've encountered, and I wish you all the best in your ambassadorial journey. Because it's a big part of diplomacy is charisma. And charisma consists of three things. It is power, presence, and warmth. That word present can mean three things in the English language. It can mean a gift, it can mean now, and it can mean an offer. Are you, with your talents, with your resources, being a present, maximizing that word present? Are you being a gift to others? Are you making an offer of yourself to others? And are you now? Are you in the now? Are you so engrossed in what you're doing now so that, like Cynthia, you're able to absolutely smash whatever it is that is inside of you in terms of potential? So for me, really just super stuff, Cynthia. Brilliant.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Mwenesi, just a quick question. How does the Centonomy Career Hub help us just to be able to achieve the charisma that you're talking about? If I was to sign up today, how do I connect that with what I'm doing right now?
All right, so let me just tell you guys that we're not doing guesswork here with Career Hub. This is a course that started over 6 years ago. I was one of the few fellows who were involved there, together with the amazing founder of Centonomy, Washeke, and some other people, Stanley, and we've evolved it and grown the course over time. So this is something that's tried and tested. I would say we've passed the 1,000, 2,000 mark of people who've passed through this course. And the kind of feedback and testimonials that we've been getting are amazing. All right, you can take it either as personal development or you can take it as a way to understand the career landscape in general. So the issue here is it's a 7-week program that helps people, because different people will come here with different ideas. Some are stuck in their career. Some know that they have something, but it can't quite get out. Some are completely petrified of the thought of doing anything. And so the way this 7-week course is structured is it's done so in such a way that these are not things that you can go read or Google, or, I mean, maybe you can, but not the way it's been packaged. I mean, the benefit of the Career Hub course is that people like us, tumesoma sana, we've read a lot of books. Guy, we have read so many personal development books. You name all the books, name them. We have read all of them. All right. So we've distilled a lot of that information into 7 practical, applicable courses that will help you move your mind, your body, and yourself into that next level of your career. So the first module is making boss moves. I know that sounds very hype. It sounds very pop culture, but the simple fact is, unless your mind is thinking like a general, like a boss, then there's no way you're going to move yourself to the next level. It starts with your mind. If your mind is not there, if you cannot start to have the attitude for driving, pushing, hitting your objectives, and it's not all this fluff. I know people will sit there and be like, oh, that's typical of motivational speakers. There's no motivational speaking here. This is real things. We will discuss real things to change your mind. You need to become an Uber. You need to become something else and repackage. I think this course is very painful because there's a lot of unlearning that happens in making boss moves. And I know certain bosses don't like us teaching this because they're like, Allah, now you've created a monster here in the office who's going to take over my job. You don't worry about that. We are here for you. All right. So that's module 1. Module 2 is knowing your strengths. Like I said, we have all of these gifts and talents inside of us. Like they're just sitting there. They're not coming to the surface and we don't know what to do with them, all right? A big part of that might be confidence, maybe we're afraid, whatever it is. I mean, there's so many factors, emotional intelligence, factors that stop us from playing to our strengths. So this second module is all about knowing your strengths, because you cannot sell what you don't have. As much as I feel like I have this idea that I can be a neurosurgeon, imagine I can't, guy, I can't. It's Aiko, all right? Do play with what you have. You can't fake it till you make it. And this now leads us to the third module. If you realize, guys, all of these modules go in sequence. I can't start teaching you about how to build a personal brand unless you know what it is that you're building that personal brand off of. Okay, so first have the attitude of a boss, then understand your strengths in module 2. Now we're ready to go to the third module, which is to build a personal brand that can actually be useful, create a reputation for you, because like I always say, and I myself am a testament to that. Your brand, your reputation, it can have meetings on your behalf. Mimi says you niambie proposal. I just look at you and I'm like, okay, I'll write it because you've asked me and it's the polite thing to do, but I don't care, because I'm not, if my brand is not good enough to allow me to get into the room, then I haven't done my job correctly. And I can comfortably say that successful, wealthy people, everyone that I've met and interviewed, and I've met a lot of them, have this thing called reputation working on their behalf. Just sitting where they are, they're getting deals done for them. If this appeals to you, then please, you have to be in this class. And it's not about being a celebrity or being on media or anything like that. This is just about being able to captivate the imagination of the people around you so that those people can be your disciples and can spread your gospel. Even Jesus had disciples. Who are you to not have people as your brand ambassadors? All right. Social capital is module 4. And here, what we're talking about is the networks that exist around you. So you've built a personal brand. People know you, people are talking about you, but are you activating those people in the right way for your benefit? Are you able to make sure that those guys are able to do the things that you want them to do? Because fine, I've built a strong brand with Maureen, but can Maureen actually take my gospel and go and use it to help me? Because remember, it's about my agenda. All right. And am I able to give Maureen something in return? A compliment, a smile, a connection, something. Social capital is fuel for climbing the corporate ladder. Your network is your net worth. So if you want to network and know how to communicate effectively, look at body language, look at how you're positioning yourself, social capital is the class for you. The next one is obviously advanced career planning, because failing to plan, guys, is planning to fail. You need to have some kind of structure. You see, people like me, we are not very good administrative fellows. Our operational capacity is wanting. So you need to have some level of even the body. If you look at the human body, the way it's built, it's not just everywhere. There's a way that it is structured. So even your career, as we're putting all of these amazing packages for you together, it needs to sit in a way that makes sense. LinkedIn ikae hivi. Yourself, you look like this. Your cover letter, your CV, it can't just be anyhow, all right? So there needs to be a way that your career is structured so that you can actually make money, because we're not here for charity's sake. This is for money making, for increasing our salaries, for increasing our value. But all of that needs to be put in a structure and in a plan. The next course is authentic leadership. Now, you see, we didn't start by saying, start being a leader and then we'll teach you to be a boss. No, think like a boss first, learn all of these things, bring people together, know how to grow your reputation. And then as people start to follow you and listen to you, you need to know how to manage them, how to deal with them in an authentic way. Because human beings are not like cups or pens or whatever. We're not inanimate objects. We are people with feelings, with emotions, with ideas, with biases. So it's important that you understand how to lead effectively. And we can't all be the same leader. Some people are hard, authoritative. Some people are soft and emotional. Some people are creating an enabling environment. So depending on who you are and your personality type, then this authentic leadership course is the one that helps bring all of it together. And finally, guys, if you cannot sell or package whatever it is that you're doing, you cannot communicate effectively. Like, I love Warren Buffett's saying, it's like winking at a girl in the dark and expecting her to smile. If you all of this, you learn all these things, how to be a boss, how to take your strengths to the next level, build a brand, all of these things. And then you can't open your mouth, or you can't write, or you can't package it in a way that makes sense and touches people where they need to be touched. If you cannot communicate effectively, then it's all a waste of time. So that's the icing on the cake. These are the 7 modules that exist, and classes start on 9th of October. Looking forward to seeing you guys there.
Thank you so much, Mwenesi. Mwenesi has broken it down very well because, as he said, he was there on the onset. So he was part of the team that prepared this content and put it together and structured it in a very, very useful way, because it's actually, every module is the prerequisite of the next. So you cannot miss one. So make sure you sign up today, register with 500 bob, and this offer is gonna be on until midnight, 12 midnight tonight. So make sure you take advantage of this coupon that we have here, this complimentary that we have here, and let's see you in class on the 9th of October. Juliet can share her details just right after this. So in case you sign up, in case you've sent money, make sure you reach out to her either via WhatsApp using the number that's there, 07350954, that is 549, or email her at wamboi@centonomy.com, wamboi@centonomy.com, and we'll see you guys in class. Thank you so much for taking your time to come and listen to these amazing speakers. And I know you have left with quite a bit, but join the class to get much more. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for all the amazing speakers. Mwenesi, as always. Cynthia, asante sana. Thank you so much, Waihiga, Mwaura. Really appreciate, and Santa as well. God bless you, and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Hakuna mtu ni mimi.